This video is sponsored by me. Read my original novel, Dance of Frozen Death. Link in the description. Greetings, fellow mortals. In my previous videos about protagonists, I focused on more conventional Western heroes. Spider-Man and Superman. Oddly enough, this is a character combination of the two. Avatar Aang is an all-powerful being with the mental and physical development of a 12-year-old boy. Aang's age obviously isn't his fault. His destiny was thrust upon him before he was ready for it. He has more power than he's ready to be responsible for, and the world is crying out for him to save them. In many ways, I think that Avatar The Last Airbender is one of the best stories to come out of Western television. That's right, not just animation, television in general. I would put The Last Airbender up there with Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul and, in my personal opinion, The Good Place. Perfect stories, perfect characters, perfect world building, perfect pacing, perfect animation, perfect everything. It makes you wonder what exactly the point is of making a live action remake. Again, like it worked out great the first time. While a lot of the story relies on Zuko and the other characters to reach its level of greatness, at its core, The Last Airbender is a tale focused on Avatar Aang. It's almost, like he's the last airbender. His journey from a scared child who ran away from his fate to the most powerful of all avatars is an epic that I have watched several times and plan to observe several more times. It's a tragedy just as much as it is an uplifting tale. The truth at the core speaks to all of us. How many times have you heard of adults, a family, or even a community placing too much pressure on a child to be their hope? Some of the people in the audience for this video might have been one of those children. In a way, we've all felt this when we realized that we were inheriting a broken planet with a deeply injured environment, terrible international relations to the point that we're almost on the edge of a world war, and an economy that will never be able to completely recover from the mess the previous generations have put it through. I'm not bitter at all, I swear.
Fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Fine. Fine.
I'm fine.
I think that's why a lot of Avatar The Last Airbender is so powerful. Because of the 100-Year War, each of the main characters have burdens placed on them as a child that they should never have faced. And they are all children. Even Zuko is 16. In a lot of countries, it's not legal for him to barely do anything. Sometimes not even drive, and we expect him to be perfect, let alone Aang, because this video is about him, so I won't go too far off that path. If you think about it, Aang's decision to run away from home was pretty logical. He was ostracized from his friends. His entire life became about training and working. Almost all of his mentors were treating him harshly, and they were expecting him to understand the situation without anyone explaining anything to him. All Aang had was Appa and Monk Gyatso. Even then, Aang was about to be ripped away from his beloved adopted father figure. Why would he stick around when he could fly anywhere he wanted and train to be the Avatar his way? Without any further knowledge of the series, that seems like a logical decision to me. Of course, we as the audience know that his actions caused him to be encased in ice. Aang survived the slaughter of the airbender nomads. He missed 100 years of war. While he did falter in his duty, I would argue that it's not entirely his fault. His actions prevented him from getting slaughtered or captured to prevent the Avatar cycle from continuing. Aang's mentors were the ones that failed to protect him, explain the full situation to him, or treat him as more than an emotionless tool designed to save the world. Because Aang is a kid who is very much in touch with his emotions. He feels powerfully, and that's shown in his surprisingly rare emotional breakdowns. If I'm being honest, I am shocked that he didn't accidentally go into the Avatar state because of grief more than what he did. After all, everyone he knew and loved was dead except for Bumi. Imagine if you blinked and 100 years passed. Nothing is the same, and everyone is telling you that you have to put an end to a conflict that's almost as old as you are.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
But Aang, of course, rises to the challenge, thanks in no small part to Katara and Sokka, of course. With them as anchors to keep him grounded, Aang slowly learns to grow into his role. Forgetting the elemental bending aspect of the story for a moment, a lot of the journey helps Aang come to terms with what it means to be a leader, a medium for the spirit realm, and in many cases, a demigod. Even the weakest episodes in the entire series involves him learning how to problem solve, deal with ungrateful people, and use his trickster nature to solve conflict. The Great Divide is a good example of this. If you ask any Avatar fan, this is the single weakest episode of the entire show. Nevertheless, I still enjoy watching it and seeing Aang dismiss a century-old grudge by outright stating that it was nothing. And while he was lying, he was probably right about the pettiness of the situation. Plus, the episode did have some good character developing moments, so I like it. In some ways, the first season doesn't feel as high quality as the rest of the show, but it was the foundation needed to help build the series to greatness. Each trial Aang goes through gives him more battle experience, more chances to lead, and a better understanding of old grudges. He was constantly shown that he couldn't dwell on who and what was lost. Because I don't know about you, but if I lost my entire family overnight and was thrown 100 years into the future, I think I would be too devastated to move for a little while.
Hey, who left this bowl of onions here?
But not Aang. He is a ball of optimism that doesn't stop rolling. His personality was needed for his journey. Without the ability to constantly see the good in the people and the situations around him, he wouldn't have been able to overcome his challenges. Not to take away from how his friends anchored him, but if it wasn't for his cheeriness, I could see him brooding just as much as Zuko throughout most of the series. He is much closer to Superman than Zuko's Batman in this case. Aang's age also helped him endure and to grow. There is no time in a human's life that someone is more malleable than at Aang's age in the show. He is able to roll with the punches and keep going because the full ramifications of what's going on doesn't exactly sink in. And not because Aang is dumb or anything, it's because he's young. And that's how everyone is when they're prepubescent. They're malleable. You don't know who you are, and the state of the world is beyond your way of thinking. Even the smartest of children are still having their brains develop. That's just life. Could also argue that his younger age was a factor that helped him master the elements so quickly. We, as the audience, don't think much about it, but Aang mastered 3 elements over the course of less than a year. Yes, he had great teachers. Yes, he had past lives helping him. Yes, he was unnaturally talented, but this is still becoming a master of 3 separate martial arts in a short period of time. The fact that he was young enough to be easily molded might have helped. It even assisted him master his inner self to perfectly control the avatar state. No time frame was ever shown with other avatars about how quickly they gained control over that state. And he was able to instantly learn energy bending, a skill not shown or even known by previous avatars, meaning he's automatically stronger than all of his past lives. All of that power could be terrifying. Besides air, each element was shown to have devastating aspects of their abilities. And airbending wasn't shown because only Aang could bend that element and he wasn't going to use it badly. Fire was shown to be able to hurt everyone and everything around it. Water crushed towns, destroyed armies, and caused people to lose control over their bodies with bloodbending. Many people were shown to be trapped by Earth to the point that 1 more centimeter off could have killed them. Aang has all of that in him and more. In a world filled with magical benders, Aang is the single most terrifying force in existence. Every time an avatar was shown using their full abilities, it changed the landscape around them. At full strength, the avatar could defeat armies. They could alter the entire planet if they wanted to. The only times where the avatar is shown to have any weakness is when they are either extremely old or very young. They either need to be inexperienced or deep deep into their twilight years to have weakness. But Aang handles the power in stride. He does stumble, but he keeps his immense strength under control more than I think anyone else could. Aang isn't perfect, but he learns lessons fast. After stumbling the first time and burning Katara, he gained a deep respect and fear for the damage fire could cause. Through Toph's help, he learned to overcome the elemental differences between air and earth to the point that he had complete control over his bending in battle.
Inner peace. Itchy nose.
I think one of the most interesting things to do with Avatar is to watch the entire series back to back and observe everyone's growth in battle and problem solving. Because this video is about Aang, I'll focus on him, of course. With each episode that passes, you see him become more comfortable in combat. He uses his airbending with more fighting skill in each episode. We see him implement his other elements more comfortably as each battle passes. When confronted by people's troubles, we watch him become more comfortable with his problem-solving abilities to the point that he even wants to fix Fire Nation problems while keeping his identity secret. That leads into the next point. Aang never vilified the citizens of the Fire Nation. He has the perspective of seeing the Fire Nation before the war. He knows that the people aren't evil. It's their leadership that's evil. Unlike everyone else in the series, Aang shows compassion to the firebenders. He knows that everyone has the capacity for great good, while almost everyone sees the capacity for great evil. It got to the point where people saw Fire Nation babies as potential threats. But the people of the Fire Nation suffer in their own country. Under the Fire Lord's rule, their environment is ruined. Strict rules and regulations keep them subdued. They're indoctrinated with lies. Aang sees all this and realizes that he's saving them as much as he's saving the rest of the world. Not many main characters would have this perspective. I could picture many weaker protagonists punishing all Fire Nation people for the actions of their rulers. I mean, it's not like that would ever happen in real life, right?
I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
Aang's compassion shows him what the right thing to do is. Because of his journey, he gained the conviction to not bend with his morals and not kill the Fire Lord. This is where my only real problem with the show comes in. I just want a bit more hints to lion turtles and energy bending throughout the series. 1 or 2 more mentions would be nice. Make it feel less like a Deus Ex Machina, even if it does feel earned. Because Aang's restraint and love of life did create the best possible outcome for the world. Killing Fire Lord Ozai could have led to a lot of residual problems. We were shown several times throughout the series that grudges were kept on both sides when a leader was killed without mercy. Hatred lingered for a long time. Not to shame Kyoshi, of course. She did nothing wrong, and Roku should have dealt with the war before he died, but it would have created different problems, ones that could have started a different conflict or war. As such, Aang remained true to his convictions and found a new way. His determination was stronger than the man who was willing to burn an entire nation to the ground. He removed Ozai's bending, showed mercy and forgiveness, and demonstrated an example to the rest of the world. By allowing Ozai to live without bending, he created a path forward where the Fire Nation didn't feel like they were going to be punished forever for the sins of their rulers, and the other nations wouldn't call for more blood. It was the perfect way to keep peace in a broken world. The only way to move on is to let go and focus on building the best possible future.
That's beautiful, man.
There's a lot to unpack about Aang. He was the avatar the world needed. He was a beacon of hope and peace in a shattered world. He never gave up and always thought the best in people. Despite his young age, he showed wisdom that was well beyond his years. While not perfect, he was a beacon of morality. Like I said with my Superman video, sometimes a protagonist needs to be a pure symbol for the rest of the world to follow. Avatar The Last Airbender didn't need Aang to be a brooding anti-hero. They had Zuko for that. Instead, the story needed him, ironically enough, to be an unmoving rock. Aang always knew what the right thing to do was. Even when he stumbled, he couldn't follow through with the wrong thing. And we accidentally hurt people, he made sure to make amends. Every step of his journey prepared Aang to have the steadfast will to hold to his convictions and heal the world. And that's why I think that Avatar Aang is a true hero. Avatar The Last Airbender didn't need Aang to be a brooding anti-hero. They had Zuko for that. Instead, the story needed Aang to, ironically enough, be an unmoving rock. Aang always knew what the right thing to do was. Even when he stumbled, he couldn't follow through with the wrong thing. And when he accidentally hurt people, he made amends. Every step of his journey prepared Aang to have the steadfast will to hold to his convictions and heal the world. And that is why I think that Avatar Aang is a true hero. But what do you think? Am I completely off base here? Do you think that Avatar Aang was the perfect hero for this story? Is there anything that you would change about the tale? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your perspectives. And thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It would really help me out. Also, please remember that I just released my original novel, Dance of Frozen Death, book 1 in the Written in Stone series, link in the description, and my second book, Above Heaven, will be released in May 2023. I hope that you would check them both out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.